Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is threatening to sue Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Now, Crump's threats come in the wake of Florida rejecting a pilot program to offer an advanced placement class in African American studies at Florida high schools. The Republican governor claims that program, which is approved by the College Board, violates state law by pushing a political agenda. Crump says if Florida does not negotiate a compromise with the College Board to offer the course, he will follow through with his threat to file a lawsuit.
We believe in teaching kids facts and how to think, but we don't believe they should have an agenda imposed on them. When you try to use Black history to shoehorn in queer theory, you are clearly trying to use that for political purposes.
Joining us now is Timothy Welbeck. He's an assistant professor of instruction in the Department of Africology and African American Studies at Temple University. He's also the director of the Center for Anti-Racism. Timothy, thank you for being with us today. We just heard some of the governor's argument. It jumps out to me that he says this is shoehorning in queer education. The College Board vetted this course, though. So what qualification does the governor really have to override their expertise? What do you make of his argument?
The governor's argument is fallacious at its core, particularly with him saying that there is an attempt to, as you said, shoehorn queer theory into this broader indoctrination, as he calls it. This is a larger effort to suppress Black history, the teaching of Black history, and also denying Florida students an opportunity to have a critical understanding of U.S. history and the opportunity to analyze data from an array of different sources. As you said, this course has been vetted by the College Board. It was a decade in the making, and it was going to be rolled out in 60 schools across the country. And so even for Governor DeSantis to say that this is something that's indoctrinating Florida students, this isn't even a course that all Florida students would take. There are only 60 offerings of the course across the country. Florida has more than 2,000 high schools in and of itself, and all of its high school students would not have been taking the course.
Yeah, advanced placement courses are things that students opt into.
So you have to decide to want to pursue certain classes.
So it's interesting, the governor's argument about forcing people. Professor Welbeck, Black history is U.S. history. We have never done a good job in this country of teaching Black history in America's classrooms, certainly not in a comprehensive way. How detrimental do you see this decision being, not just in Florida, but a precedent that it's setting in classrooms across the country?
It has devastating implications because, as you said, Black history is American history, and we have never dealt well with the treatment of Black people in America, particularly as we're talking about educating our children. Florida wants us to lionize Robert E. Lee, for example. They have a day commemorating his life and legacy, but they don't want us to talk about how he led a rebel army of the Confederacy to enslave Black people. That type of omission is a glaring omission, and it has significant impacts not only on our understanding of the past, but also in our understanding of our current realities. So much of the life that we live in America today is based on historical context. And so to remove that, to omit the contributions and the history and the legacy of Black people in America is devastating for these young people across Florida, particularly when they're already not getting this education. It has broader impacts across the country as other states have attempted to make similar types of measures.
So then what is your advice for students, for parents in Florida or any other state where these programs are rolling out and they may be under threat? What can folks do who do want to pursue this education?
Regrettably, people in Florida who attend public schools there are questions as to whether they can actually take these courses. So I would advise them to do a lot of self-study and to find various ways that they can audit courses online. There are an array of universities across the country that offer a catalog of courses that they may access. They could also go into their local libraries or even order some of these books online. But I believe it's critical for them to find ways to educate themselves in the absence of receiving this education within their schools. And In a broader instance, too, I would say that they also need to continue to make their voices heard. We should not take assaults on education lying down, because these are things that we should be fighting about. Governor DeSantis is talking about indoctrination and the denial of children to think critically. And that's exactly what he's doing by denying access to information, denying actual facts of history, and using propaganda as a means to fame and stoke the flames of his followers and his constituents.
All right, Professor Timothy Welbeck, thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.